Hello, fellas. Should we do a patch notes review for Evolve? Hey, here's something I never thought I'd be doing in 2025. Hey, right. I want to make something very clear before I start doing this, okay? Because obviously, you know, there's going to be different opinions, and I am not here to start a war with the Evolve community either, okay? Based on how I've done this with DBD in the past, there's going to be some things here I do disagree with. I have read through this, yeah? But there are going to be certain things I am going to comment on. I am going to slightly critique. Obviously, I'm not going to rip into it like I do with Behaviour, because this isn't a big company. This is a very passionate player base. The same people like-minded as me, you know, for 99% of the time. So any critiques will be constructive here. It's not, you know, a big, massive developer just being completely fucking clueless because they only listen to Twitter. I'm going to go through this. If you don't know what this is basically the new version of the Evolve modded patch notes that they've done now. The version of the game that's been made by the community that I mentioned in a previous video. So we've got a decent amount of patch notes here. What I am going to say though, because I have read all these, I do know what's coming. I'm just going to do a little commentary for each thing, if I agree with it, if I disagree, all that kind of stuff. The strange thing about this though is there are no changes to Gorgon. And Gorgon was the monster that I always say suffers from severe number issues, mate. She's got very low damage, she's got very low HP, armour, all that kind of stuff throughout every stage that she's got, but they haven't changed her for some reason, which I just thought was strange. Or, you know, if they just forgot to list it at the bottom, maybe they have changed them, I don't know, because they've done literally every other character, but, you know. Yeah, we're just going to go through it. I'm going to provide what I think about it, you know. We're going to kick it off. Evolve patch notes, fellas. I actually never thought I'd be doing this, so I'm fucking excited, to be honest. Obviously it's not official, but it's might as well be official, because the publisher and, well, I was going to say the developer, it's not the developer's fault, but the publisher doesn't give a fuck about this game now anyway, so community's got to look after it, haven't they? So, game rules, custom game options. I added a new reinforcement time setting, 1:45, a compromise between 1:30 and 2 minutes. We strongly recommend this setting for hunt customs. Yeah, nothing really to be said there, it's just added gravy. I always have mine stuck on a minute, obviously, because I only play against bots. That's something else I want to stress here, because obviously this is designed for everybody that's playing together in the Discord against themselves, like people versus people. I've said this numerous times in the past, I can't do that anymore because of time zones. So a lot of my critiques here are going to come from the bot version of the game. So do not take them as gospel, right? I'm just saying from my perspective what I think, but I am going to also consider what it's like to play against actual players, because I did play against players at the very beginning of the actual hype wave, when we were actually still, there was a small window, it's about 1 or 2 weeks just before the actual hype wave actually exploded, where we were playing on Legacy, and then we all sort of switched over into stage 2 when the bulk of the actual wave came in that version of the game. This was just prior to when somebody had actually discovered that stage 2 was actually still just online and functioning. Until that point, we all didn't know. We were just sat in Legacy doing the peer-to-peer games. So I have played against people in Legacy post-game shutdown, technically, you know, so there's a little bit of knowledge there, but it's not going to be as expansive as a lot of people, but I'm going to base it on, you know, how we used to play the game and how I used to, you know, play it back in the day. So wildlife, dynamic spawn rules adjusted, decrease the initial delay on spawns from 20 to 15 seconds. Wildlife should now spawn in shortly after the monster gains control of their character, making it easier to survive stage 1 and stay ahead of the hunters. Right, I never had an issue with this, obviously, you know, again. Finding initial wildlife, sometimes, yes, in, you know, in a couple of videos where I always say the line, you know, excuse me, does anything actually exist on this planet? This is what this fixes. Right at the very beginning, but usually, because there is 1 or 2 maps, 2 or 3 maps I think, there's Refueling Tower, Wraith Trap, Lesser Extent Dam, and there's another one, I know I'm missing another one, Aviary, that have weather control as well. Quite a decent amount of maps that have corpses right at the very beginning, so you can get a couple of bars straight out the gates, and usually once you've finished eating them, the wildlife has started to spawn in, and you'll be able to smell your next next camps, basically, if you want to call it that. So basically, what I assume this does is wildlife will just basically spawn 5 seconds earlier, so they'll already be there by the time you're eating that last corpse, basically. So it's just a slight buff to monsters overall. Death cooldowns, wildlife respawn delay when killed by the monster decreased 480 to 360. Yeah, just faster respawns on wildlife as well. So when you eat things, it doesn't turn it into a void. I didn't actually know it's down to 6 minutes though. I didn't actually know it was actually that long. That's a fucking long time. Explains why sometimes we can't find wildlife. So yeah, that's the second one's probably decent for game health there, to be honest. That one. But the first one for me personally, I'm just not, you know, I can take it or leave it, you know. Because a lot of the maps just have initial corpses, but sure, there it is. Progression masteries, all players will have 3-star masteries unlocked for the sake of fairness. Yeah, that's just player progression. That the masteries were... There's a certain standout characters in some of the monsters' masteries that are insanely ridiculous to get. I do remember the Elder Kraken one where you have to... It's something like you have to down... I think it's down 100 hunters with chain lightning. An ability that literally just doesn't do anything. I was still up until about, I think it was about a year and a half ago now, maybe, after the game's release, like nearly 10 years later, and I still only just got that. So it was a bit ridiculous. But yeah, just bringing everybody in line, especially when the game's in the state that it's in now, where it's a very small player base and a community. Having everybody on the same page is, yeah, decent, good. Movement speed rework. This is where it gets a little bit fingerless now, obviously, because as I say, you know, I play against the bots. Obviously, this might work against actual players, but again, I'm going to do it from my perspective. When played at high level, the game was a little too fast-paced, punishing when players fall behind in tempo. Movement speed was disproportionately valuable on many hunter characters, and using pillars with stasis or tranks was so effective that monster players were locked into running movement speed. I did feel a bit of this in Stage 2. If you went against decent hunter teams, it was a fucking nightmare to play monster against it. It was to a very similar vibe of what Swift is in Dead by Daylight when you were playing as monster. And I think one of my towards the end of my final videos in Stage 2 were rage ones towards the end, because I was getting really fucking annoyed with how people just like completely isolated all the fucking shit like design choices of the top level meta of what Stage 2 was, but a lot of it was down to when they added like 300 odd perks into the game, you know, for my build diversities, but just decimated all fucking game balance in the process of doing it, you know. So I assume this is probably something that leans into that, because it is talking about eye level. That's where we were in when we were playing Stage 2 against players. Because, you know, we'd been there from the very beginning. We was doing team wipes nearly every game, you know. I was trying to be kinder to new players, you know, all that kind of stuff, but we were wiping for a lot of games. So towards the end of it, when we started getting, you know, down to the proper players, we were basically at the top MMR in this game. So I do know what they're talking about there. But roaching was part of the issue, because if you don't know what roaching is, if you are new to this, roaching is basically if you hug a wall as hunters and you bevy your jetpack as you go up and down it and just skirt around the walls. There's a lot of abilities in the game that the monster just physically can't land on you, because of the way the game's set up and the way it's built. Like, take example, rock throw. There's a big pickup animation. You can be around the other side of a wall by the time that goes off. Rock throw is useless. Leap smash can get stuck on ledges if you aim. If a hunter's running around a ledge and you want to try and get around that ledge a little bit quicker, sometimes the game will glue you to that ledge, so you'll just do the leap smash on the spot you're standing on. Charge won't work either, because you can't steer that sharp. You know, all you have against that is basically flame breath from goalie's standpoint. And it doesn't really work against Kraken as well, because when you do your lightning strike, you can't curve the lightning strike around the pillar. It'll just go up on top of the pillar, and then it won't hit whoever's running around. So roaching, just as an example, you know, roaching was a very big problem, to be honest. I would call it a problem as well, because it just literally invalidated 90% of strategies for monsters, and it was you know, the only thing they were doing towards the end, which is why I got pissed off with it. Well, yeah, increasing the movements. I wouldn't say they were locked into running movement speed though. Yeah, I wasn't. I just started running. I think I started running. It was either defense or damage, I think. Because I know back in the stage 2 game, the way I always used to do it, I can't remember what the name of the perks was. There was one that increased your feed speed and it increased your. I think it was your defense. It give you the mixture of everything. I think it was. I can't remember what it was called. It was part of the fucking idiotic design anyway, because it was a single perk that basically gave you like 3 other perks in one perk. So there was no point in running the individual ones that they had for them as well. I think it was something like it had slight move speed, it had feed speed, and it had attack damage on it. I think it's Brawler. Brawler was the one. It's called Brawler. I think that's the 3 it did. I can't remember. Memory doesn't serve me right. But it was something that was universally good, and I'd run it at red rank, which was the bottom rank, and then you'd run, I don't know, something like traversal cooldowns at silver, or defense or attack, just depending on what team you were against. And then at gold rank, which was the final tier, you'd run gold brawler, because there was the red brawler, the first tier, and then there was no silver brawler, but there was a gold brawler. So you'd use your silver tier to give yourself something else based on, you know, what sort of team you were going against. But yeah, to help fix this, we've globally increased base move speed, slightly nerfed slows, and adjusted perks across the board. The overall tempo of the game should be a little slower and slightly more forgiving for both sides. There should be far more perk variety. I believe this is actually built into the Stage 2 version, is it? I don't know. I don't know if they did this on the Legacy version, actually. Yeah, with them saying far more perk variety, this might be in Stage 2, I don't know. Monster movement speed, all stances but swim/crouch, 7.5 to 8.4735, the pi number. So all stances but swim and crouch, that's your base move speed. Then just your run speed is faster. Don't know how much this is in the actual game. It's not too drastic though. Swim 6.5 to 7.3, crouch 5.5 to 6.1. Crouch is your sneak, if you're unfamiliar. Swim is monsters can't actually swim, fun fact, but it is when you walk through deep bodies of water, so like the water on Fusion Plant in the ponds where the tyrants normally spawn. There's an incredibly deep place there. The monster will start wading. That's basically swimming. It is slightly faster than crouching, so that's now increased. So you move faster through water, basically deep bodies of water. Hunter movement speed, sprint speed 5.5 to 6.05. Hunter perks, movement speed no longer provides 25% sprint speed, instead allows you to shoot while running at top speed. Now, this is one I was going to comment on, because obviously this is something that came to mind immediately when I read this. This is actually a massive buff to hunters that can hit scan, such as Markov, Hyde, Lennox. I think they're the only 3 actually. Or Blitz Markov if you want to just get everybody in there. Any hunter that has a ranged poke ability are probably going to be very hard to lose based on that, although they have increased monster move speed. So maybe it does bevy it out. But there was a small meta for a while in Stage 2, near the beginning of the hype wave in Stage 2, where you'd run poison bullets on Hyde, and it was extremely fucking oppressive. It was actually nearly game breaking. Hyde could legit just fucking melt monsters from the other side of the map with this, and if you're going to buff Hunter move speed, it kind of pushes it back towards that and does buff that. Because if it can keep up with you and it can keep line of sight with you, it's going to be pretty fucking hard to escape that. So obviously I've not seen any of this in game, so I can't concretely say this. But you know, it gives me the idea that this would buff that playstyle, and it was fucking oppressive. It was really, really fucking oppressive. When I played against it, mate, I was literally running across the map against hides that would stack jetpack perks. So they basically never run out of jetpacks, and also the poison bullets ability on gold. And you would it'd basically be doing like actual battle damage from across the fucking map on you, you know. Every bit of wildlife you're eating, if he gets a line of sight on you, boom, it's gone. Because the poison would just melt it away. And then you'd be stuck in this never-ending loop of slowly melting and dying, whilst also not being able to recover from it. Because it was extremely fucking oppressive. But again, this was another byproduct of Stage 2 and why you shouldn't have fucking 300 perks in your game. There was nothing wrong with the original game. The 9 perks, you know. There was no poison bullets, there was nothing that, you know, exaggerated healing and all this wank. None of this needed to exist, ever. They should have just literally just rebooted Legacy, and that was it. But yeah, that's another topic. But yeah, that sounds like what that buffs. So it says no longer provides 25% sprint speed, but it allows you to shoot while running at top speed, which you've also increased gradually by 0.5. So yeah, it kind of, it just leans, it probably, maybe it doesn't, but it reminds me of that fucking shit playstyle, you know? Because it was one of the playstyles that was like Behemoth, for example, where they did all these fucking new these compy triads that just literally sit under the fucking dropship at the very beginning and just camp new players, because that's how you revive a game, innit? I said that in the Discord as well. As I say, back to what I said at the beginning, I'm on nobody's side here but my own. When I say this, I've got my own opinions about the game and all that kind of stuff, but I said it in the Discord at the time, because I know people from the Discord are going to be watching this, and I said in the Discord at the time, while all this shit was going on, that you need to be nice to new players while we were doing the revive, and not one of the fuckers listened to me. There was a couple of people on the YouTube side of things that were agreeing with me. There was one or two of them, but beyond the scope of the actual player base and what was actually going on, nobody listened. We were more concerned about farming wins for the fucking stats page, you know, and now look at it, everybody's gone. But I didn't know what I was talking about, apparently, you know. I've only been right about the state of the game of Dead by Daylight about 6 times in a row, and they tell me I'm wrong every time there as well. Relax. Jump height 300 to 250 was slightly too good, but remains a highly effective perk. Jetpack reach. I can't really comment on this because I've never used this. I don't like it as a perk on Hunter either. I think it's the Blitz Leopard buff for Hunters, where it just basically turns you into being on the moon, essentially. But it was a good thing to dodge abilities with, because you could jetpack yourself upwards as well. Jetpack recharge 75 to 60. Ooh, fucking hell. That's a bit... See, whenever I played Hunter, mate, I always had trouble with fucking jetpack recharge, because I'd always run out of it, and then you'd just be sort of nailed to the floor, waiting for your first tick. No. Capacity 40% still, however, no longer effectively increases the recharge speed of battery weapons. Ah, yeah, this is capacity, using capacity for more ammo on it back in the day. Yeah, so you'd use stuff like capacity to get a massive damage rate on Cabot and stuff like that. Increases the recharge speed of the battery weapon, so you could use your damage amp like really quickly. I think to a lesser degree. I don't know if it counted as battery weapons, Lazarus's glove. I think it did, because there was a lot of people saying you should run this with lads. Yeah. As it used to make battery weapons recharge faster, instead of reaching 100 charge in 5 seconds, they would reach 140 charge in 5 seconds, effectively buffing their recharge speed. We fixed this oversight as TRS did in Stage 2. Oh, this is Legacy then. This is Legacy. Oh, okay. Right, because they're talking about Stage 2 in the other tense. Right, okay. This is Legacy. Right. Good taste. Good taste. Thank fuck you have not dedicated your time to Stage 2. This shit can fucking burn in hell. Monster perks. Movement speed 25%. Top speed down to 6%. Wow, that's a massive nerf. Note that 6% of a higher number as base monster move speed has been increased. is still substantial. I read that, but I didn't internalise it. Note that 6% of a higher number as base monster move speed has been increased is still substantial. Right, okay, they're talking about the base move speed as well. Yeah, so they've nerfed it down to compensate for the move speed, basically, that's what that is. Still a big nerf, that, though. 25 down to 6. Yeah. Sure. Retains slight resistance to slows, also increases move speed while meleeing by 6%. Wow, okay. So you can glue yourself to hunters basically if you melee, meleeing, which is just your basic attacks. I'm assuming this means that when you are swiping, you get that 6%. Because it does. This is this. I know what this does. This is the situation where you'll be swinging at hunters, and they can actually just walk out of range because you start really slowly as you're swiping. You start walking basically as a monster. This increases that period of move speed by 6%. It's quite good because it means you can get more value out of your swipes. Damage bonus still 10% extra damage, but now only applies to abilities, not melee or pounces. Yeah. It's probably quite a decent change, that, actually, to be fair. 10% extra damage on abilities, rather than just base swipes or pounces. Cool, yeah. Not really much to say about them ones, to be honest. They're just, yeah, they are what they are. Markov. Markov is a simple character designed around low, consistent damage and mines, which either protects his teammates or punish the monster for disrespecting them. We slightly increased his weapon damage and made some key changes to his mines. It should make him much more consistent and rewarding to utilise. This character did need buffs. He's fucking horrible. Apart from his hit scanning nature, base Markov is fucking horrible. He doesn't have enough damage that's reliable, to be honest. The lightning gun also ran out very quickly as well. Lightning gun DPS increased from 150 to 65, yeah. Chain damage child beams increased from 5 to 33. Markov's lightning gun is now effective against Gorgon, spider traps and mimic. We've indirectly nerfed the weakest monster in the game. That's fine though, because this character does need buffs. Yeah. Assault rifle spread tightened. Accuracy while jumping or jetpacking increased. Hit scan buffs. This weapon is now an accurate sidearm, which complements Markov's consistent kit and rewards good aim. Yeah. It does buff the hit scan though, which is going to be buffed by the move speed increases. A lot of it's just PTSD from the fucking shit show that was poison bullets back in the day and hit scan assaults. It's probably not as bad as I'm thinking it is, but yeah. But the accuracy while jumping or jetpacking is increased. You can jump up into the air and hit scan monsters easily. But now, obviously, yeah, I've just realised because we're in Legacy anyway, we won't have poison bullets here. So you've got decent poke, essentially, then, from distance. You can break the monster out of feeding. If you see him feeding in the distance, you can do that. Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm thinking of this as with poison bullets. Mine's hit points increased from 25 to 91, that's a massive damage buff. This should prevent monsters from being able to easily or even accidentally destroy mines with melees. Were people doing this? I just used whatever ranged ability I had, like Vortex on Kraken, Flame Breath, Goliath, Vomit on Gorgon, you know, the Decoy on Wraith. Just send one of them in, get rid of them all, get rid of all the mines. You only have to hit it once with any sort of damage and it'll go off. Disabled physical explosion. Ah. There you go. Yeah. See, I kind of like this. You know, I do like the physical explosion because it punishes bad positioning. These, you know, in this particular instance, it's kind of a double-edged sword because the physical explosion, which that knocks hunters up, was kind of a bonus for monster. If you used your flame breath, if they were sort of like stood inside the mines, where they were trying to get you to go into them, you know, to force you to tank the mine, you could punish it with stuff like flame breath, where you would basically attack the mine, detonate it, and it'd juggle them up, and you'd be able to get a decent amount of damage in for them standing there, rather than putting your mines on places where the monster is going to have to go, like choke points and stuff like that in a battlefield sense. So this you can't punish hunters for literally just sitting inside mines now with that, as opposed to it being a case of, like, say Wraith Traps Relay, for example. There's a lot of filter zones in that part of the map because it's basically a square in a basin. If you're fighting in there, there's a lot of places where you can get the monster to tank mines, whilst also, as a hunter, not being inside the actual blast zone of it. Like, you can basically put mines in the trenched area around where the Wraith is in the actual tank, around the square in the middle, and there's a good chance the monster will have to take some of them mines at some point if you just keep running around and rotating around the square. But in that particular instance, if the monster catches a hunter within one of those mines at the right time, they'd get rewarded for it as well. But you can't do that now with this. So it'd just be a 100% positive for the hunters in that instance. Because you could also use this as well, like when it's talking about the Markovs being on the pillar as well. You could actually, in very small instances, obviously, but this relates to the actual physical explosion, you could do it as monster. You could use these to counter roaching when they did, because a good strategy against stuff like Kraken, was placing mines on top of pillars, so you could potentially tag him when he was flying by in the sky. In a lot of instances, the blast zone of the mine could spread down to where hunters were roaching, and you could detonate the mine as Kraken, and it'd knock them off the wall and put them in a stun phase for a couple of seconds, which would allow you to capitalise on the damage while they were trying to roach. It's how you could punish roaching, but you can't do it again now. Yeah, I disagree with that. To be fair, I do disagree with that. As I said, I was going to provide my own feels of this. I do believe this is dynamic gameplay. Obviously, Markov is really weak, so the counterplay here is, it's a bit egregious in terms of what he is at the moment. But you buff the rest of him. Don't take away this kind of thing and just buff the rest of him. But yeah, it is what it is anyway. As I say. Damage decreased from 600 to 455. Wow. Okay, so they've nerfed the actual damage on the detonation. Oh, hang on a minute. I've never known the damage to be described in fucking numbers before, dude. This is talking about the mine health. This one. So it used to be 25, which is obviously a small amount because obviously you detonate them instantly, but. Now it's 91, so mines are a little bit more tankier, I think. I think that's what this means. 8 points. It's going on about destroying them. And then that's the damage they do. Right. Okay, I thought this was the damage they do. 600 to 455, yeah. They've nerfed the overall damage on it though. I only think Blitz Markov's mines were a bit overtuned in terms of damage, but I wouldn't have said that Markov's was. Yeah, sure. Felt a slight nerf to mine damage was in order since the above changes will A, make them harder to destroy, and B, allow hunters to deliberately play into them for damage. Yeah. I see where they're coming from with that then. Yeah. Allowing us to deliberately play into them because they're literally acknowledging walking into mines to make the monster tank them. Yeah. I just think this was more dynamic. Honestly, as I say, for the situation when I said the count was roaching and you could use it in situations to punish hunters. It's not even necessarily a Markov thing, you could punish anybody walking through it. Yeah, sure. Hide's long reloads and awkward rotation can lead to some unfortunate moments when someone gets pounced. His minigun is a bit underwhelming, and grenade efforts from huge proximity detonation that made it hard to place with precision. We've addressed these issues and given him a kit that enables switching to the right tool for the right job at any time. So yeah, Hyde is if you don't know, he's a rotational based character. You'd use your flamethrower, switch to your grenades, put that out. By the time you switch back to your flamethrower after you've thrown your grenade, your flamethrower is recharged and you're ready to go again. Minigun was used to, or either use your minigun if you didn't want to use a grenade. But minigun most of the time was used to poke. His minigun is a bit underwhelming, yeah, but it's a very decent poke tool. I'm just reading through this again. But in a fight, yeah, the damage was just shit. But as a poke tool, it was very good because the damage didn't change at distance. Flamethrower no longer needs to reload. Fucking wow! Players can now seamlessly swap from the flamethrower to the toxic to the minigun and back again without being caught reloading. Pick whichever weapon the situation calls for and switch at will. Okay. Damage over time effect increased from 6 to 8 seconds. Damage over time effect increased from 25 to 43 damage. Buffed his damage as well. Why would you ever use anything else then? I mean, obviously you use your toxic grenades just to lay down more damage, but if the flamethrower doesn't need to reload anymore, why would you ever use your minigun? Ever. Unless you've got a team like with Laz on it, where you've got targets. I think that's probably the only viable use of it then. Minigun damage decreased from 25 to 12.5. We've nerfed the damage of it. Rate of fire increased from 400 to 800, right. Minigun now fires twice as fast but does half as much damage per bullet. The DPS remains completely unchanged, but the gun now feels a bit more like an actual minigun. Give it a try. I was just about to say, yeah, that's literally aesthetic because you've halved the damage and doubled the fire rate, so it's the same thing. They just made it look faster, basically. That's what that is. Yeah. Toxic grenade, stink cloud radius increased from 15 to 18. We've buffed that as well. Proximity damage, proximity detonation activation radius decreased from 7 to 1. Don't know what that means. 1 meter is usually enough to hit the Kraken when he's flying. We are open to increasing this if players feel it is too difficult. Oh, right, okay. This is when you throw it. If it goes near the monster, it'll detonate. Fucking out at a massive radius then. Gone down to 1. But this change ensures the stink cloud will always go exactly where you aim it, instead of detonating 7 meters off course and being wasted. Right. Okay. This is fucking strange, dude. That's really strange. Because this was why he was a rotation hunter, was it not? You'd switch off your flamethrower when you were reloading and go into your toxic grenade or your minigun, whatever one it was that you needed to use. Use that for a couple of seconds, or just throw a grenade, and then by the time you go back to your flamethrower is up again and ready, and you just use it again. but now it no longer needs to reload, so you'd never stop using the flamethrower. Because the reload period of the flamethrower was the punishment if you mishandled your rotation, which was a good thing as far as I was concerned. I'm from playing him. Because that just feels a bit too easy now, when there's no punishment for messing up your rotation. Because they've buffed it across the board as well. There's 2 damage over time effects in it as well. I don't know what that's about. 6 to 8. Oh yeah, seconds and damage. Yeah. So they've increased the amount of time the burn lasts for by 2 seconds, and they've increased the overall damage. Yeah, I don't get that, mate. I really do not get that. Sure. Parnell enjoys best-in-class potential DPS. Yep, he is one of the strongest assaults in the game. Punish versus direct focus body camp, evo, mobility, and is extremely versatile to boot. This is a lot of fun, so instead of sweeping nerfs, we've added some significant drawbacks to his super soldier state. Oh, okay. Super soldier was the ability where you give yourself a massive damage buff to sacrifice some of your health. All those voice lines about how dangerous the suit is now make sense. Parnell is now a glass cannon. He must use his most powerful ability tactically and with care. Fucking hell, before I read this, dude, what have you done? Super soldier self-damage increased from 135 to 250. However, this damage is now blocked by his shield if it's active. While Super Soldier is active, Parnell takes 10% increased damage. Wow. That's a fuck you to Parnell mains, mate. You've nearly doubled the... In fact, well, you're 10 points shy of doubling the damage it does when you activate it. And he takes 10% increased damage, so you basically fucking have to activate this with your shield, mate. Otherwise, I don't know how much Hunter Health, what the actual number of Hunter Health is. I've never dabbled in the numbers before, but I have a feeling that's like maybe it's 1,000, and that's like a quarter of his HP. Because even that'd be quite dangerous with all the monster abilities that are going to be coming at you as well. So you're probably just going to have to use your shield to tank this, and then. Yeah, the 10% increased damage, which I assume applies to the shield as well. So your shield might melt pretty quickly. These changes make it genuinely risky for Parnell to pop, so yeah, he basically kills himself. He still has the tools to keep himself alive, the enhanced movement speed and jump height from Super Soldier allow him to avoid incoming damage. He can use his personal shield to protect himself during this time. Monsters now have an incentive to risk fighting a powered up Parnell, especially in scenarios where he's overextending or his team isn't able to help him. As somebody who primarily plays monster, mate, that looks like free food. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you could use it when the armor's drained. But yeah, if he's sacking off all his HP, mate. Sure. Skilled Parnell players will still chase you across the map, shoot you off food and threaten evo punish, but weaker players will need to be careful, stay closer to their team and use their shield or jetpack wisely. Yeah, it basically elevates the skill then, because as well, if you're going against a decent monster, you're probably going to get fucked if you run off. Monsters can literally, they can hard punish overextended hunters massively. And you know, if you've got a Parnell who thinks he's hot shit, popping his super soldier and trying to pursue you across the map, now it's probably going to end badly. If the monster actually has a decent amount of armor, so there's a very small window where it's wise to do that. But yeah, sure. Super Soldier now grants swap speed equivalent to the tier 3 Hunter perk. In Evolved Stage 2 Parnell, players often ran silver swap speed and seamlessly wove rockets into their Super Soldier rotation. This was strong and fun, so we're trialing, giving him this buff in recognition of the fact that Super Soldier now has a weakness to rival its strength. Yeah, so faster weapon swaps. For the duration of Super Soldier, yeah. Makes it easier to decide which weapon you need to use. Because you're going to be on the back foot as well with the damage, the HP you do to yourself. Sure. Torvald. Torvald is a very powerful character with a high skill ceiling and some notable weaknesses, such as reliance on the capacity perk and his resultant low mobility. We consider him overall balanced. No changes at this time. Let us know if you have any suggestions. Fair enough. Lennox is another fun, reasonably well-balanced character who we didn't want to touch too much. Her autocannon no longer reloads, instead of functioning as a battery weapon, which overheats and needs to cool down. We've also given... Right, okay, sorry, I thought they'd fucking removed the reload from this as well, the same as the flamethrower. We've also given Thunderstrike a notable damage buff, considering its long cooldown and the fact that it can genuinely be avoided. It should be more effective at peeling for teammates, especially against the squishier monsters, which enhances Lennox's identity as a character you can't afford to ignore. Yeah, Granny Lances are an issue if you don't keep swatting the fly, basically. Yeah, they basically just buffed the Thunderstrike, I think. They've not listed it as numbers, though. I'm assuming they've just forgot to do that. Come on, fellas, don't be doing behaviour now. Don't say you're doing shit and don't fucking list it, you know. Here's our new patch, you know. Our behaviour does it when they say here's our new patch. Have fun figuring out what the fuck we've done to the game. Yeah, so I'm assuming they just forgot to list it. It's fine. Autocannon changed from standard firing type to primary battery weapon. Yep, you can now swap to and shoot the autocannon whenever you want. No more 6-second reloads because you swapped to the lance or used Thunderstrike. Reduce spread while moving. Lennox can fire a bit more accurately while chasing or backpedaling or strafing. Yeah, poke buff. For the same reasons I mentioned with the toxic bullet situation, and also just poke ability. She's one of the hunters that can poke with the autocannon, so they buffed the poke potential, and basically just quality of life, I think, with this. Sure. Blitz Barkov's Tesla gun is more consistent. His rifle is less underwhelming, and his mines have been reworked. Spooker. Tesla gun range increased 25 to 26, that's very minimal. Lock angle 28 to 33. These two changes to make the beam more reliable even on worse hosts. Right, yeah, this is when it magnetizes to stuff. Recharge delay 1 to 2.5 seconds. This refers to the recharge delay if the battery is not emptied fully. If you successfully reach gold and emptied clip, recharge time is still 1 second. Yeah. So the way, if you don't know this, the way Blitz Markov's lightning gun, his version of the Tesla gun, the way that works is if you maintain it on the monster without breaking the beam, going out of range, or, you know, just misaiming it, it will steadily increase in damage until you reach the gold beam, which is the highest damage, and it does drain armor or HP. It was quite strong. Assault rifle mag capacity 25 to 40, spread improved. Spread improved? Do you mean made wider or tightened? It's behaviour. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, more bullets in the chamber. I assume spread improved means it's tightened. I'm going to assume that means it's tightened. So yeah, that's a buff to poke again. Mines, number of mines, 3 down to 1. Health increased 25 to 270. Okay. Time to increase in stage increased by 4 seconds. What? Time to increase in stage increased 4 seconds to 5 seconds. Right, it was 4 seconds. up to 5 seconds, was 16 seconds to reach gold, is now 20. Toss distance, you can throw it further, 7 to 10. No longer stuns hunters when detonating. Again, for the same reason that knock-up was a thing. Mine trigger radius now increases as the mine ranks up from 4.9 meters to 5.5. So slightly bigger radius. Weaker mines less likely to explode early, stronger mines cover more area. Mine damage adjusted from 355, 57, 950 to 355, 59, 50, 1250. So they buffed it at max rank, basically, the damage. Low rank mines still weak to avoid them being spammy. High rank mines more rewarding. Yeah. So they've given more survivability in the environment. And if they do survive, they basically just increase the damage they do. Which is a bit weird, because this was already quite a lot. Getting hit by a gold miner's monster was... This was from the time I had it with... When I got hit by one as gold lead, this is like nearly... a lot... Well, it's not nearly all his armour, but it's a big chunk of his armour. This. It's about a third of his armour. And then there's an extra 300 points on that as well, which is about a third of this. So that's about, I don't know, math, 2/3, I don't know, of his armour in one mine. And it takes 20 seconds to reach gold. Yeah. Yeah, basically just increases how valuable they are the longer they're in the environment, basically. And also makes them so you can't tap destroy them as well. They're actually quite tanky as well, 270. I'll say... Big increase, we'll say. 10 times plus 20. Sure. Trapper, Maggie. Maggie is a simple, strong character with a decent weapon, powerful RTC, and high utility and clutch factor in the form of Daisy. We've increased her speed to tone down her ranged damage a little, but otherwise elected not to have any significant changes at this time. Yeah, machine pistol, spread decay increased from 1 to 1.75. Maggie was a little too good at doing damage at a safe distance by burst firing a gun. Increasing spread should bring her range damage in line while still allowing players to go for high damage when close. Harpoon arm time increased from 5 to 6 seconds. So we just nerfed Maggie, basically. But this is basically how long it takes your harpoons to arm. When you fire them into the ground, it's an extra second. Spread decay increased, I should say, from 1 to 1.75. Not familiar with the old speak. I don't know what spread decay is. I'm assuming this is bullet spread, basically. Increasing spread should make it so, yeah, so they basically made the bullet a bit sprayer. The gun a bit sprayer, I should say. So you're not guaranteed to hit as many bullets as you were. 0.75 seems to be a bit of a minimal change, I think. Maggie's strong CC is a core part of our identity, but harpoons are a little too effective when placed off cooldown. Slightly increased arm time should help slightly. Yeah. Griff. Good fucking lord, we've only changed the sound spikes. Right, okay. I always say this guy's the weakest in the game, mate, because he's a trapper that's... by the very nature of being a trapper, you are public enemy number 1 for the monster. And this man just cannot fucking do anything when he's under attack. So, as opposed to anybody else that has any kind of slowdown, because Griff's method of slowdown is only effective when you're actually running away from him. And if you're targeting him, harpoons don't do anything with this, because it's actually tied to him. He shoots the harpoon out and he holds him in place, but it only works if the monster's going away from you. He's got no way to actually defend himself. Griffin is a good character with some lackluster tracking. I'd like to know why he's a good character, to be honest. Sound spikes can be useful sometimes, but outside of offering an exact distant marker when the monster evolves, they aren't a reliable tracking tool. Yeah, they were a bit shit. I'd probably high-five you on that one. I often found building a wall out of them, basically, as you go through the map itself, just basically put them in a line across the centre of the map, because then you'd at least know when the monster was passing through the middle. I think it did count as sneaking. I think, if my memory serves me right. Can't quite remember. I don't think monsters could sneak through them. I think it did. They were hard to see for the monster as well, so maybe that was the counterplay there. We're giving them a significantly larger sneak detection radius. Alright, okay, yeah, you can do. Sound spikes. Sneak detection radius increased from 20 to 27. Sound spikes can now be used to cover larger chokes and monitor double backs. This is a powerful and somewhat unique niche among tracking tools. By leaning it, we hope to round out the character and sharpen his identity a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe it's actually well, no, because you could still increase his numbers, but yeah, increasing his HP randomly massively wouldn't be the way to go with this. But he doesn't have any kind of good defense. You need to, if you've got Griff on your team, mate, you need a fucking high sustain. You need basically Slim Hank to keep him alive. Otherwise, you're never going to get domes, mate, because the monster will just down him instantly because he can't defend himself. So, yeah. Buff to his tracking, though. Abe is the gold standard for trapper balance. Strong, clear identity, good at what he does, not too oppressive, no changes, open to suggestions. Yep, fully agree. Abe is probably one of the best designed trappers in the game. The Goliath of the hunters. Just very decent all-rounder. Crow. Crow is a powerful character with a couple of defining strengths. We've decided to start by toning down Golby, who can currently be spammed with little consequence to get highlights information with very little difficulty. Ah yes, the global tracking that we had in fucking stage 2 with a fucking planet scanner. It just removed all depth from the game. It's basically similar to that, like in a carpet bombing kind of setting. So Gobi minimum respawn delay increased from 6 to 9 seconds. Makes Gobi a little less spammy. This mechanic seems a little inconsistent, may not fully achieve intended effects. Okay. Starting speed and acceleration decreased slightly. Crow was a little too good at throwing Gobi down a 200 meter sight line and receiving near instant precise information from across the map. Gobi is still fast, but this change should mitigate the effectiveness of at extreme range. Yeah. You can't just point and click detect a monster that's fucking on the other side of the map somewhere. I see it. Long rifle time to charge a charge shot increased from 1 to 1.1. Okay. Don't know how much point 0.1's going to do, but sure. Jack has great CC and tracking at the cost of genuinely low damage. We've nerfed the satellite cooldown to encourage more thoughtful usage of the satellite. Possible damage increase to his pistols is still in the works to round him out. Satellite cooldown increased from 30 to 40. 10 seconds on that. Satellite reveals eaten bodies, footprints, and the monster for a large radius on a relatively short cooldown. This should round out Jack's strong tracking a little and make reload as appealing a perk choice as capacity. Passive ability to sprint backwards, sideways, and while shooting removed as it bugged and created an exploit allowing Jack to increase his top speed while firing. Okay, good. And we've got bug fixes as well. Nice one. Yeah, just nerfed his tracking ability a little bit. There's a lot of OG player thought process going into this, because you know a lot of the people that are left now aren't the goldfishes that came to the game initially and said they were bored of walking around the map tracking the monster when it was actually a core part of the gameplay, because we all have to be straight in there as Lazarus is trying to solo the monster and then writing fucking threads on Reddit about how the game's imbalanced and I should be able to 1v1 the monster as a medic with no ability to heal himself. But yeah, they've sort of nerfed his tracking ability to make it a bit more calmer, so you actually have to, where it says there, more thoughtful usage, you have to plan your satellites a little bit better, which is good. Wasteland Maggie, that's me drinking. I've never heard her be called that before. Waggy, it sounds like a fucking has-been hotel character. Waggy has carved out a niche as a self-sufficient character who does well in comps which struggle to protect the trapper. Her ARP, she is the trapper. I mean, just because you just replace the trapper with her. Go on with it. Her harpoons were slightly too effective for how easy they were to use, so we've made a minor adjustment to their range. Harpoon trap trigger distance decreased 25 to 22, release distance decreased 30 to 30. 33 to 30, sorry. So they've nerfed their harpoons. So they've given them a slightly smaller range of detection with trigger distance. And release distance is how long they'll go before they snap. Yeah. Yeah, I sure. It just makes the harpoons a little bit more slower and, you know, slower to detect, I suppose. There's not much to be said, to be honest. Medic Val. Val is a strong, simple, self-sufficient character. We like that she's good at healing, keeping herself alive, providing extra damage CC utility. To help accentuate one of her existing weaknesses, we've nerfed the healing her teammates receive from her burst. This should make her struggle a little bit more to spread damage and little more against spread damage and reduce her effectiveness in late game situations. Heal burst healing received by teammates decreased from 332 to 300. Tranks adjusted in line with global move speed and stasis slow changes. Behavior patch notes, there's no numbers. It's fine. Yeah, a little bit more against spread damage. This is a indirect buff to Meteor Goliath, and also, you know, just general multi-target monsters like Gorgon's Acid Spit, Flame Breath, Aftershock for Aftershock and Chain Lightning for both Krakens. Just makes her a little bit less effective into them kind of situations, I think. Because she can, with the heal burst, she can be beaming somebody and heal burst at the same time, and it just basically insta heal in most situations. And then she could immediately switch to the next person. So obviously there's a slight decrease to that now, so it won't be as effective. Yeah. Lazarus is a unique and interesting character. This is the Necromancer, the character I've just referenced with the Reddit gamers. He doesn't heal, he waits for his teams to go down and then cloaks and revives them without the strike system. Strike system being the little white blocks that you might have seen him in videos with the whenever we down a hunter. They get a little white chip on their HP bar. That's a strike. But the same thing that makes him fun can make him frustrating or toxic at times. We've substantially increased the time taken to revive with the device. Ooh, okay. I believe this change will punish belligerent or scrubby Laz players, while leaving strong Laz players largely ineffective. Revives should be earned with good timing, or by outplaying the opponent, not by bull rushing the down body and getting lucky. Lazarus device rest time increased from what? It's only half a second, yeah. Yeah, okay, alright, see what we're doing, yeah. There's something in the back of my mind here, fellas. I just want to turn the clocks back to something I said earlier on in the video, you know, about the old Discord situation and how we were trying to turn this fucking game into a comp scene. There's a bit of the language being used here that's sort of incentivizing that we haven't fucking learned. Because it was funny when I read it, but you need to be thinking about new players if you want to get this game revived. Calling what is likely, you know, a new player a scrubby one is very, you know, small dick energy. And, you know, it's given me PTSD to the time that, you know, or a flashback I should say, to the time that I lost my favourite fucking ASIM to cunts like this. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm just putting it out there, you know. But, fellas, we need to stop trying to turn this into a fucking comp scene, because it's not going to work. Right? I'm being very serious, as I say, like, because it touches a nerve. It really touches a fucking nerve, dude. Because I'm sick of this fucking shit. I really am. I'm really fucking sick of it. The game, if you're going to get this game revived, right, and we're going to get our asim back, and you want to fill your fucking stats page with all your fucking values that don't fucking mean anything, right, we do that after we get the game revived, yeah? You make it new player friendly at the very beginning, right? We don't start all this bollocks about being, you know, punishing shit plays and all this kind of shit. I know I go on about it in DBD, but that's because that game's established, right? At the very beginning of this, we need to be calm and we need to think of the new player experience because we need to retain players. Something I fucking said in the Discord at the time when a lot of these fuckers were just completely complicit with booting in as Behemoth, the most busted fucking monster in the game, sitting under the fucking dropship and camping new players for the sake of inflating a fucking win rate that doesn't even exist anymore. You know? Actually fucking brain dead. And these people were telling me I didn't fucking know what I was talking about. You know? It's fucking embarrassing, dude. It really is. As I say, you know, at the same time, I can see where they're coming from when they say scrubby players. Like, when it's just people playing like shit. They should be punished for that. But at the same time, it's like when you say you will punish belligerent and scrubby las players. Like, there is a situation where a lot of people are going to be new at the game and they need to fucking learn how to play it. There was nothing wrong with this. The res time. 1 second. It wasn't. It punished the monster, basically not camping the body. And that was a lot of the pressure that came from Laz being on the team as well, because it basically locked the monster into one place and made it paranoid about him getting the revive. And then that revive, that down that monster got, meaning nothing. You know? So the 1 second timer was fine. Granted, it's only half a second, sure, whatever. Yeah, fine. But it's this type of shit, dude, when they're going on about fucking scrubby stuff and all this kind of shit, you know? People that are just min-maxing the fuck out of the game and making it just the most dry, two-dimensional experience imaginable, so that when the new players come into it, they play it for about 20 minutes and think, nah, I can't be arsed with this, because it's just fucking sweat, isolate all the meta mechanics, get all that fucking, just make it take over the game. I need my win rates, you know? It needs to fucking stop, boys. It really does. Because otherwise, if not for me, obviously, because I'm obviously saying this in a very, you know, well, not toxic, but passionate is what I will say, because I actually want this game to be revived one day. I actually want the asim genre to get fucking saved from the absolute tripe that is currently at the top of it, right? Yeah? But having this sort of attitude where no hunter can make mistakes, otherwise you're the scum of the earth, you know, or you have to do this as a monster, play like this playstyle, or you're just shit. You know, all this kind of shit, because that's the very fucking shit that was going on in the Discord, you know? And I said at the time, we shouldn't be doing this. Nah, don't know what you're talking about. Look where we are. The game's fucking dead, boys. Moving on. Relax. Ooh, there you go. It's in there, fellas, you know, it's in there the same way it is when I play DBD, you know, the fucking demons and all that kind of fucking shit, just because I want this fucking genre to actually get the life it deserves. But, you know, I'm fighting a fucking battle on all fronts. Kyra has gradually been power crept by other medics, particularly Val, whose superior heal burst, self-healing and utility usually outweigh Kyra's strengths. At the same time, buffing Kyra's healing numbers risks making her too tanky when combined with shields. As such, we buffed her by leaning into her uniquely powerful speed boost, the Adrenaline Field. Ooh, we've got speedy Kyra then, have we? Adrenaline Field duration decreased from 13 seconds to 7 seconds. Oh, we've nerfed it. What? Oh yeah, just carry on reading. Duration decreased from 13 to 7, so they've almost halved the duration, but they've decreased the cooldown of it, so you're going to be using it a lot more frequently. Kyra can now use this ability more actively, rather than popping it once every 2 minutes before returning to healing. The Adrenaline Field is a powerful buff, and being able to utilise it more freely, it should help Kyra's self-sustaining offensive utility, map pressure, and her ability to rescue teammates who are in danger. Yeah. She gets the speed boost. No changes to her healing now, I think. Not that she needs it anyway. She's very decent, Kyra. She's actually a very rewarding high skill ceiling, whatever they fucking call it. A character that's good when you learn how to play them, basically. When you actually learn how to skill shot, because she's a skill shot medic. Yeah, they've just buffed her speed. She can use it more often. She's going to be making a team move pretty damn fast through the field as well. I'd be very careful with that though, when paired with other trappers that do have tracking abilities as well, because this is actually a very good tracking ability. If you know where the monster is, you're going to be finding them pretty quickly because you're going to be having that speed burst towards them, and you can also use it more frequently now. Yeah. Slim, the problematic man. At least not in Legacy though, because Legacy was actually the correct way to do an ASIM. Slim is a problematic character because his ability to generate high AoE healing 100% of the time denies a lot of the monster's core options, pressuring various hunters, camping bodies while pressuring the medic, killing the support to expose Slim, etc. This leads to Slim and particularly Slim Hank. Yep, the fucking best duo in the game, that. Matches following the Flee till 3 trajectory with very little variation or interactivity. Yep, 100% agree. Flee till 3 was just a fucking shit playstyle, whether you used it by choice or because it was very effective on Wraith as well. You could do it as Wraith, where you just basically you're never fucking seen. Which I, even as somebody who's been here through that them times, when it was actually a proper thing, I never use that playstyle because I just think it's boring. But again, this is all the meta apes and the fucking apes and the monkeys, that like to just pride themselves on having a win rate for some reason, because, don't know, they can't sleep at night without having a fucking positive win rate for some reason. Yeah, you could run off as Wraith and just fucking basically never be seen until you get to stage 3, and then you just wipe the team as a full elf stage 3. But then also with this comp, a lot of the time you just needed to go straight to stage 3 because you needed the damage to keep up with it. To try and maintain Slim's enjoyable core gameplay loop, power fantasy of going toe-to-toe with a monster, we've elected to rework his Spore Clouds. A tool which cripples some monster players but only mildly inconveniences others, and reduces healing on incapacitated hunters. Spore Cloud no longer includes smell. Okay. Instead applies 8% damage resistance to all hunters who are inside of the cloud. Radius increased from 12 to 13. Duration decreased from 7 to 5. Healing field in-cap healing reduced from 317 to 201. This is a very significant nerf to Slim's in-cap healing. I believe that DR... What's DR? What am I missing here? I don't know. From spores will damage reduction, yeah. Will compensate for this while still making it possible for the monster to kill hunters outright, yeah. So they haven't changed his healing apart from his healing burst, is it? So the bugs are still the same. But he can also now get 8% damage resistance inside of clouds. So you'd fire a Spore Cloud at whoever's being targeted. They'd get 8% damage resistance, and... because he doesn't heal directly, does he? I've just realised he puts his bugs on people, that's where his healing comes from. But you can get rid of bugs by just attacking them. Attacking the hunter that's got a bug on them. You'd still use it for the damage resist, so you just fire it at whoever's been targeted, because then they do get the 8% damage resist. Yeah. I'm somebody who likes the obscure kind of thing with the smell, so... because they got rid of this in stage 2 as well. And just replaced it with, press button, become invincible, because we were just fucking clueless about the game we were designing when we went to stage 2. It was just ridiculous in stage 2. But they removed the smell again. I mean, I suppose it's like shielding, so it's still got utility and stuff like that, but it's, the smell could actually be quite effective in certain areas. especially in low visibility areas like Broken Hill Mine, where there's like it's dark in places. If you get your smell obscured, you actually can't see people a lot of the time. It was a good way to escape. Sure. Emmett's healing is low and inconsistent in much of the early game, but is effective in late game situations where Hunter players want to play around pillars or similar terrain. His respawn beacon is a powerful tool, but suffers from some unfortunate limiting factors. We've leaned into his identity as a kind of off-healer who can resurrect teammates. Healing buoy arm time decreased from 2 seconds to 1 second, so that's going to go off instantly now, more or less. Effect radius increased to 16.5, can no longer burst before armed. Burst won't be emitted from buoys until armed. Healing per second increased 40 to 45. Respawn beacon replaced with the support buoy. A single buoy with a lifetime of about 7 seconds, which applies a jetpack thrust buff to hunters within the radius. The respawn beacon encourage and enable cheesy 20-minute games, which were fun for the Emmett player but less fun for their teammates and the monster. Support buoy avoids this issue and complements Emmett's kit by giving hunters a chance to return to healing if knocked away. Right, okay, so we've... Where? So he can't resurrect teammates anymore, can he? You said up at top into his identity as a kind of off-healer who can resurrect teammates, but you've got rid of his respawn beacon. So I'm assuming he can't revive anymore then? Unless I'm missing it. No. So I'm assuming he just can't revive anymore. This is a buff to roaching though. This. Emmett was very good to roaching. Because if you didn't destroy the buoys as well, they did also heal while they were blocking all your abilities or making your abilities redundant. So they now come off quicker. And they've got more of a radius as well. Just can't burst before armed. These two are still a buff to roaching. And teams that roach. Healing per second increased 40 to 45, yeah. It buffed its passive healing as well. I just think that's like a massive buff to roaching. Like it's just, yeah. So roaching was already an insanely strong playstyle. Rogueval was designed to be a durable, high-damage combat medic with strong AoE healing. Her incredibly restrictive range meant that in many situations she was too close to the monster for increased durability to be as strong as OG Val's 60-meter range, Tranks, and strong heal burst. We buffed the range on both her healing aura and chain medgun to allow Rogueval players to position a little more securely while doing their job. Chain medgun range increased from 35 to 40, healing aura range increased from 30 to 40. Healing aura in-cap health per sec decreased 60 to 50. Medgun in-cap health per sec increased 120 to 130. Arvel's in-cap healing remains identical on paper but has been slightly redistributed away from the passive and towards the medgun. She's not as effective at healing down bodies while hiding around a pillar or doing damage, and we'll have to use her medgun more effectively here. So this was like passive revives on roaching as well, which is what they've acknowledged here. Because as long as she's within the area, the AoE could revive downed hunters passively. Buff the chain, the medgun range, just as she's got more healing. And the aura is increased as well. Just small nerfs, small buffs across the board. In-cap health per sec decreased from 60 to 50. Yeah, but she can't revive off the ground as fast. Yeah. Yeah, it's just overall buffs. I do think this version of Val was worse, I think, than regular Val. Do you think she was? She's just even against like Meteor Goliath, like she was like designed to sort of counter sort of Meteor Goliath, but Val was still pretty much doing the fucking same, to be honest. So yeah, she did need buffs, I think. Support. Hank has been disproportionately affected by the changes to the capacity perk. We'll see where he lands and consider further changes based on how he performs. Please provide feedback if you have strong thoughts. Laser Cutter damage increased from 10 to 11. A minor buff that we hope A will help compensate for the overall loss in power, and B help encourage aggressive play. So making him attack based, or pushing him towards an attack based support. Yeah. Still has one of the strongest shielding effects in the game though. They haven't touched... They don't really need to touch it, it's just it is what it is, really. Because if you do nerf his shield, he kind of just becomes useless. So it's the only thing he's got strong that's... Well, the only thing strong he's got about him. Yeah, sure. Bucket is a simple character who revolves around strong offense in place of defensive gimmicks. His missiles and turrets are difficult to mitigate and provide a steady stream of damage, and his UAV spares the hunters from performing risky splits to locate the monster. It's kind of useless though. It just doesn't do anything. You can locate the monster, but sure, you know, you fucking Golby can do that, Griff can do that with a sound spike, you know. However, his damage was a little too inconsistent prior to the stage 3 setup. We've made some adjustments to his turrets to try and rectify this. We hope Bucket will see more use outside of the last comps. Sentry turrets, toss distance increased from 7 to 10. There is a minor change to make it slightly easier to set up turrets on the fly, such as those in chase, when ambushed, or when entering a dome late. Engage range increased from 30 to 40, disengage range increased from 30 to 45. Sentries will now acquire targets at slightly further distances and will stick to them a little more effectively. Sentry spread decreased. Sentries will now be more accurate at ranges 25 to 45, increasing Bucket's overall consistency. Sentry fire rate increased plus bullet damage decreased. Largely cosmetic, more dings from weak spots, more satisfying sound effects. Net DPS remains the same. Yeah, so you can place your turrets further. Yeah, like around corners you can throw them a bit further. Engage range is also increased, so they've got a bit more range to them. This is basically a situation where you just out of sight of the monster, you can throw one down, and then, you know, it's probably going to land with line of sight of the monster, whoever the monster's attacking, and then it's got a larger range, so it'll be able to get onto the monster more effectively, essentially. And also disengage range, so it takes them longer to actually give up shooting. Yeah, just sentry buffs. Sure. Cabot, an incredibly powerful character, yep, who rewards strong positioning and teamwork while offering little room for mistakes. Cabot excels at aggression. We've given him the ability to shoot weak spots with his rail cannon to further reward precision, and because it's fun. Rail cannon can now target weak spots. Note that a weak spot applies only to half the base damage from his gun. Each shot is split into 100 projectile and 100 explosive damage. Okay. Yeah. Not really much else to be said there, as I say. We've basically just made it so his railgun can damage. Oh, hang on a minute. No, never mind. With only projectile damage, fucking page splits, dude. With only projectile damage benefiting from multipliers. Okay, so he only gets half of his damage from it. Yeah, which is what they just said. For instance, shooting a ×2 multiplier would boost his damage per shot to from 200 to 300, not 400. Damage at minimum ammo to fire increased 10 to 70. Like, this is not a percentage. Max capacity is around 350. This prevents Cabot from using 1% of his ammo to amp Lennox's Thunder Strike or Torvald's mortar to do huge chunks of damage immediately after emptying his amp. Yeah, Yeah, basically stops you from taking a nuke out of nowhere, you know. It now has to recharge a significant amount before, you know, you can actually before you can use it, basically. So you can't just, like, you know, use it as a very strong poke tool. You actually need to wait the recharge period, or a decent amount of it anyway. It's a fifth of it as well, out of 350. Yeah. Sunny is a notoriously powerful character, whose combination is incredible mobility enhancements and brick wall defense can make the early and mid and late game a nightmare. The game, basically. We toned down both the fucking brains in knots. Hang on. We've toned down both the shield drone and jetpack booster to rein her in, but she remains a strong and versatile pick. Shield drone reload time until second drone can be placed, increased from 1 to 5, I presume, seconds. Hit points reduced from 250 to 180. The drones are now weaker. Will now die in 2 light melees or a few ticks of flame. This and the reload time will make it far more manageable. Yeah. This was something I did notice in the multiplayer days as well. The shield drones, which were basically just adding a Hank to your team, they were very easy to replace. Very easy. Jetpack booster thrust modifier reduced from 25% to 15%. This should reduce the mobility and survivability afforded by Sunny's jetpack booster. Thrust modifier, specifically from vertical boosts, reduced to 5%. Neutral boosting with Sunny was extremely effective for how easy it was to execute. It's still good, but less so. Yeah. You might have seen this in some of my bot games as well, because the bots do use this whenever Sunny's on the team. It's the very strong jetpack boosts that they get. It's one of support abilities and utilities. They just made it slightly less effective. But yeah. Carla is the black sheep of the family, considered a throwaway pick by most. However, skilled hunters are able to make use of her portals, can teleport around the map to apply suffocating pressure to a monster or escape zones mid-combat to survive, and restore resources. Carla's return on investment is high. We've made that value more accessible by slightly increasing the health of her portals to make them a little easier to get when under pressure. So teleporter pads, hit points increased from 25 to 90, it's a little bit stronger. Used to be destroyed by flame before the visual effects were even visible. Will now tank a tick or 2, giving hunters precious time to make it out alive. Physical explosion disabled. Yep, did that with Markov. You could actually use it the same way as a mine. If you destroyed the teleporter, if there was somebody about to go through it, they'd get knocked back. Yeah, that's gone now. Like Markov mines used to stun hunters who were too close when destroyed, no longer the case. Armor reducer lock-on angle increased 25 to 30. It's a bit more generous, should be more consistent, will break less often. Yeah, it did break quite a lot, to be honest. Regen time increased 15 seconds to 20 seconds. Banshee missiles. I thought I was reading Kraken there for a second. It's actually, because she does use Banshee missiles. Homing speed increased from 6 to 10. Similar to changes made to them in Stage 2, Carla's mines will now home in quickly and consistently. Sure, yeah. Is a character that's niche. She can be good if you know how to play her, but she's not new player friendly, this hunter. So, yeah. Buffs are probably a thing, to be honest. Yeah, it's just more TP utility, and so it doesn't get destroyed instantly, and a bit more basically quality of life on this, honestly. With the you know, it not breaking as much as it does. Yeah. Tech Sergeant, shield gun, exploit fixed. Don't know what that was. Capacity increased, 1 full clip should yield 1 full charge on 1 full hunter. Yeah. So basically 1 full shield on his his shield gun, because Tech Hank has to build his shield rather than regular Hank that just gets it instantly. But it does leave instantly as well when he when regular Hank takes the beam off. Yeah. Monsters. Right, here we go. What have they done to my boy? I'm still gonna trust you. But yeah, the gold standard for monster balance. Yep. Sure is one of the most balanced ASIM characters ever made. We've only made minor adjustments to Goliath, thank fuck. It was benefited from the perk and move speed reworks. To encourage more diverse ability allocations, charge, radius, 2.7, 3.4, 4.4, 3, 3.7, 4.5. So this basically, the radius is where hunters will get hit by it. We've increased it by 0.1 at stage 3, which is something you're probably not going to feel. But they buffed it a little bit more in the earlier stages, just to make it a bit more effective in stage 1 and 2 by the looks of it, whilst keeping it the same as what it is at stage 3, which is a good place. Cooldown in combat was 8 seconds, it now cools down in 6 seconds. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't have said it needed a cooldown reduction, to be honest. I really wouldn't, man. I don't... He's fine. He's honestly fine. Duration 1.4, 1.7, 2.3. This is how long it lasts. They've made it longer at stage 3, so they buffed it at stage 3 on the duration. Kept it the same at stage 1, they've slightly buffed it at stage 2, and then they've buffed it even more at stage 3. So he's basically at stage 3, he's got... the radius is more or less untouched because 0.1 doesn't really do anything. It's got a 2-second cooldown reduction, which means he's going to be using that shit very quickly, because 6 seconds is a very short amount of time in fights. This is what I mean. And also it just charges further as well. And Leap Smash at 3 points. It decreased the radius out to 7, so it's slightly smaller. See, I never really max Leap Smash though anyway, I always max Flame Breath because it's just the better option for reliable damage. So I can't really comment on the 3.1, but I wouldn't have said that the range of his Leap Smash needed decreasing, man. There's a lot of situations where because I always have it at 2 points at stage 3, there are situations where I leap into hunters and they move slightly, they move slightly to the left or the right, wherever, and they don't get hit by it. I would not have said the radius needed decreasing. But yeah, they've basically buffed charge and they've nerfed tier 3 Leap Smash. Nothing else though, as I say, yeah, the being nothing else is good because he's Goldie's the most healthy monster in the game. Bar none, mate. He's perfect. He literally doesn't need touching at all. And I'm not saying that just because he's my main and I don't want him to be touched. He does not need touching. He's in a very, very good fucking spot, you know. Like he doesn't need he doesn't need anything doing with him. Meaty Goliath used to struggle immensely against high sustain comps. Yep. This was actually probably one of my last videos in stage 2. I was playing Meaty Goliath. And I think it might have been a Slim Ant game. And I did lose my shit in that game. I started proper ranting because it was fucking annoying. While having an easy time spreading damage versus damage comps, Meteor Goliath's abilities now have a unique DOT which stacks with DOT applied by other abilities, allowing up to 4 stacks if all 4 abilities land in quick succession. This should allow him to choose between spreading damage and focusing a single target. Damage over time burn. Each ability now has a discrete DOT which stacks burn damage decreased from 40 DPS to 25 DPS, duration 6 seconds. I've read that again, but didn't internalize it. Each ability now has a discrete DOT which stacks. Yeah, this is the ability. Depending on what ability you use, it has its own separate DOT. It'll stack. Burn damage decreased from 40 DPS to 25 DPS. Duration is 6 seconds. Okay. So they've nerfed how much damage the burn does. I don't know if 6 seconds was the regular duration. I don't know. Can't remember. I don't take note of these things when I'm playing it. It might be 6 seconds thinking about it. But they've nerfed these DOT anyway to compensate for the fact that you can now get 4 of it anyway. So that's going to be, if you stack everything, that's 100 DPS for 6 seconds on a tick, I think. Which might be really strong. Charge radius 2.7, 3.4, 4.4, 3, 3.7, 4.5. I think they've basically done the same thing here, haven't they, as the regular goalie. Yeah, cooldown in combat to 8 seconds, sleep smash 3 points, radius decreased, yeah. Done the same thing for the charge as regular goalie. See, based on numbers, I don't know how big these numbers actually are, because I never assess the game on a numbers situation, but 100 DPS for 6 seconds every tick. That seems insane. Sure. Kraken's lightning strike is bugged and doesn't function consistently unless he's host, and even then not all the time. As the cornerstone ability of his kit, this presented a problem. We managed to make lightning strike work consistently at the cost of Kraken's ability to move it. It now functions as a win con ability, which can be used once you've gotten a hunter to burn all of their fuel. Ooh, that's a massive nerf. That's genuinely fucking massive, that nerf, mate. Can no longer be moved. Lightning strike. So it's basically, it's Elder Krakens. It's the same as Elder Krakens. They've increased the radius of it to 8. Don't know about that, Chief. I think I'd rather take the bug. Being able to move it was the way you landed it, mate. I mean, yeah, it does punish when they're out of fuel, but you can't always tell when they're out of fuel. You basically have to wait for hunters to exhaust the fuel before you use that, otherwise you're probably never going to land it. So he's basically got 3 abilities in a fight. Because if you don't have the certainty that they haven't burned all the jetpack, you're not going to land it. Traversal recharge speed's decreased as well. He's good. Got a bit more mobility. He's one of the slowest monsters in the game behind Wraith, I think. Yeah. Aftershock applies 10% damage resistance to the Kraken while active. Yeah, just so he can soak up the hits while he's trying to get in there, in the middle of everybody. Yeah. Lightning strike not being moved anymore, fellas. I don't know, mate. Honestly. That's... yeah. It's heavily dependent on whether you make the correct prediction, on whether you actually get that off, because you can just burst out of it. The radius might make it a bit better though, maybe, to get hit by it, but no, you know, this is Elder Kraken's lightning strike. This now, I don't know. There it is. Elder Kraken is a strange character, accidentally overbuffed right before TRS launch stage 2. Kelder has been considered grossly overtuned for most of Legacy's lifespan, and hasn't been played much as a result. We reverted the last set of changes made to him and worked from there. The traversal recharge speed is the same as regular Kraken. Lightning Strike radius has been buffed back up to what Kraken's was, so 7. Chain Lightning applies highest damage to the closest target and lowest damage to the furthest. Right, I'm hoping this does fix it, because this ability is fucking dog shit. It doesn't do anything most of the time, even if you stage 3 this shit. You can have like the population of China about to be hit by your Chain Lightning and it still wouldn't fucking do anything. So I'm assuming this basically punishes people that stand next to you when you use it. They've not said anything about increasing its range though, because its range is fucking terrible. And that's one of the reasons why it's so bad as well, because you need to get people within the range of it, but getting people in that initial range without using it right on top of them is one of the issues. Because usually if you was to use this, just trying to think, you'd come very close to hunters and then they'd know that you were probably about to pop this and then they'd jetpack away and the range on it would get reset because that hunter would leave the range of it and then you'd basically get nothing for it. Sure. Behemoth has the ability to one-shot a hunter by looking at them with his tongue grab combo, but he's always been crippled by an inability to get around the map easily. We've made his roll more consistent to use. It should accelerate more quickly, recover from getting stuck more easily, and get stuck less often. We've made minor reductions to his killing power to compensate, but he remains a lethal combo character who struggles against good positioning. Roll now has a superior handling, faster stage 1, slower stage 3 to enable Bob to play macro more effectively but retain the effectiveness of pillars against him. Tongue grab, cooldown 7 to 10 seconds, lava bomb DOT 6 to 3 seconds. Wow, okay. We've nerfed the tongue grab up to 10 seconds and we've nerfed the lava bomb DOT of it 3. Sure. I mean, we're talking about Legacy Behemoth here anyway, so it's not the absolute fucking shit show that it was in Stage 2. I'm assuming by roll now as superior handling is sometimes it'd only pivot to your camera by 180 degrees wherever you're rolling. So you'd get situations where you'd clip terrain and it'd bounce you to that 180 degree angle and then you'd be locked moving sideways for awkward distances before the camera and the actual physics of the boulder would right itself again. So it was always easier to just literally come out of boulder, right yourself and then go straight back into it again. I'm assuming that's what this means, it's tackling as well. Superior handling. He does have escape though, with it being faster at stage 1, which is good. And we've just nerfed his kill potential overall. Yeah, sure. I think that's it. Yeah. No Gorgon changes, as I say. HP numbers, damage numbers across the board might just need raising for Gorgon because she's very shit. She melts if the hunter's looking a direction, so, you know, making damage resistance, well, it makes damage resistance mandatory on Gorgon, because otherwise you just die. Yeah. Overall, yeah, sure. As I say, across the board, we'll see how it goes. As I say, I'm going to say it right now, though, fellas, because obviously somebody from the Discord has come to my YouTube comments. I have. It's kind of the reason why I'm doing this video, actually, just to show you that I do know this exists. Actually, dedicate a video to it. I'm not going to download this immediately, right? I personally, as I said at the very beginning of the video, I've got my own view of this game, right? And at the moment, the game is in a very good place for me, right? So I'm not going to immediately download this. If we go to the point where, you know, it starts getting really unique changes, like we start changing monster abilities, maybe all that kind of stuff, or there's cosmetic stuff that's being changed, things like that. I don't think they can do that, but, you know, that kind of thing. I'll probably download it. I have watched the tutorial on the thing. It is actually quite easy to download. I got a bit confused as to how to actually download this, but there's a tutorial they put in the you know, the Discord, and I had a watch of that, and it is quite easy to install. But as the time would be at the moment, I'm going to leave this. You know, as I say, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to continue putting videos out of the actual, you know, just the game itself, right? When we get to a point where it's going to be quite substantial enough, or if we do get another hype wave or anything like that, something that actually shakes up what's going on with the game itself and properly makes you know, shakes the ground basically, then yeah, I'll download this kind of thing. But for the time being, I'm just going to stay with my game as it is, and we're just going to keep putting out gameplay videos, right? I know it exists, and I know I can download it, all that kind of stuff, right? But I'm choosing not to at this instance, right? Not out of not wanting to do it or not supporting the game or anything like this, as I say, because fuck that. I've been doing videos for about 3 years on this game daily. Yeah, so you know, it is what it is. As far as from my perspective, at the moment, there just isn't anything substantial enough for me to warrant downloading it. You know, in my mind, I'd rather just keep the game as it is, the way I play it. You know, and then, you know, as I say, because there are some changes in this that I don't agree with. As I say, Markov's mine's knocking hunters away. I don't agree with that. Kraken's lightning strike being locked in place on both versions because of a bug. I don't agree with that. You know, I'd rather just take the bug, mate, to be fair. The bug that I've never actually seen anyway, to be honest, in all the times I've been playing it. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the patch notes. As I say, I did a bit of review. There's going to be no gameplay today because I think this is like 3 hours long. But you know, I thought I'd just do this just to get it out there. You know, discussion video, that kind of stuff. Run you all through it for people that haven't seen this. But there it is. That's going to be my thoughts, my feelings, all that kind of stuff. You know. I hope you've enjoyed the run through, and I will hopefully see you for the gameplay tomorrow as it all resume as normal. See you on the next one.